Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening, watching, hearing from. My name is JP. Welcome to John Paul Music UK as I just lighten my face. Hi, how we doing? So a couple of things. First of all, I just wanted to do this live stream today because I've got a couple of announcements to make, and then just want to talk about one or two things. We've just released a video literally a couple of hours ago about a brand new guitar that I'm playing around with. So if you haven't seen that, that's also on the channel as well. And then we're going to do a quick talk about one or two things. But before we get going, just this live stream is sponsored. It's sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. So if you are making music like I do and you want to put that music out there, then you need a music distributor to put it out to the streaming sites. So what you can do is you can use these guys. This is DistroKid. They are a music distribution company and they push it out to all the online stores and music streaming sites around the world. So, give me 1 second. Just had a slight issue. There we go. We're good now. So basically, what you can do is you can every time you release music with DistroKid, you can release as much music as you want to for an entire year. But if you release it with other people, they charge every time you release music. These guys charge you one price per year, which is $22.99. With that link, the QR code, it's also in the description box as well. You get 7% of your first annual membership. So thank you very much to DistroKid sponsoring this live stream. Now, hi everyone. Hope you're well. I'm going to leave the DistroKid QR code up here. So if you missed it, don't worry. You can just scan that one, and that's all good. And then I'm going to bring up the chat, and I've actually brought the chat up right here. So we are live streaming on both YouTube and also my Facebook page as well. And if you want to chat to each other, then say hi. I just wanted to actually talk about one or two things. First and foremost, I know obviously we've had a couple of different videos across the channel so far. I'm just looking at my screen here. And if you've got questions, the Ask Me Anything is literally that. Just ask me anything about obviously what we've been doing on the channel. If you want to ask me about looping, if you want to ask me about other things. There's been a couple of questions about a couple of different products, and I want to try and answer them as well. There's one or two questions I've been asked. Have you tried this with this product? I haven't yet. Hi, Prance, I hope you're well. I hope you're doing okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at obviously answering like looping questions, live stream questions. Where on earth did I get this shirt? I can let you know that as well, because this is a Star Wars Hawaiian shirt. I mean, come on. But the other thing as well is I do have an announcement, and that announcement is about my courses. So I just obviously let you be aware of that. Now, we've got questions already. Prance has already asked me a question. So please suggest me a budget-friendly vocal modulation pedal. So the question is obviously, what do you want to modulate? You said a vocal modulation pedal. You've got a couple of different ones. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want to do, harmonies, or do you want to have, sort of just like you want a good chorus effect? Let me know in the chat, and then we can discuss that further. Tainted, good evening. Hope you're well. We are going to be discussing one particular thing, and I know I'm looking at my screen and not you guys right now. Sorry, just actually just getting something prepped so you can see it. Where are you? There you are. Cool, amazing. That one. A good one. I mean, just straight off the bat, just off talking about a friendly vocal modulation pedal. I use the TC Helicon Voice Live Play Acoustic. Now they're quite hard to come by at the moment because they're sort of like not sort of made. Have a look at Flamma, Flamma, Flamma. I've done a couple of videos on their vocal corrector, and then we've also done one on the vocal harmony pedal. So the FV01, and then it goes 01, 02, 03, 04. The Flamma pedals, they're not massively expensive, and they're quite good, depending on which one you want to go for. If money was not a issue, then I would actually be having a look at things like the Boss VE500 or the TC Helicons. If you want just a harmony pedal, now it's actually probably better to get things like the TC Helicon Harmony Singer 2, which is a great little pedal, and that does have a little bit of compression de-essing built into it anyway, and then you've got the harmony on top. But if you want things like that, that's quite good. Obviously, top of the shop on Boss is the VE500, as I say, or you've got the VE22, but be careful with the VE22 because that one doesn't have as much. So people, have said, oh, it doesn't have MIDI and it doesn't have follow-on harmony for playing the guitar. If you don't worry about that, that's fine. The VE22 will be fine for you. But if those things are what you want, that's why the VE500 is still their top vocal pedal. And the good thing is it's been out a while, so you might be able to find a bit of a bargain for it. So I hope that helps. I know it's really weird me doing a live stream on a Friday, but I normally do them between sort of like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays. But we needed to do this before the weekend breaks because there's a little bit of an announcement to make. And some of you may have seen the post I put up already about it. If you haven't, don't worry, I'm going to talk to you about it now. But if you're watching, hi, welcome. If you want one of these these shirts, I can tell you where you can get them from. So it's a wonderful website which is called Geeks Outfit, which is really, really cool. I just found them, and then they've sent me a couple of shirts to showcase. Hence why I'm wearing one, and I really like this one because it reminds me of Rogue One quite a lot, which is quite cool. So, what on earth am I going to be talking about? Well, what I'm going to be talking about, of course, is predominantly my channel is all about looping. And it still is, don't worry, we are going to still be talking about looping. In fact, we're going to be talking about looping a lot more. We've got a couple of things on the way that we're going to be talking about, obviously product-wise, but also I'm going to be talking more about setup. And I'm going to have a look at doing setup. But for those in the know, I have courses, and you can see right down here in the bottom, I've actually got 3 courses. What I've got is I've got the course on the RC600, the RC500, and I've got a course called How to Loop Like a Pro. Now, How to Loop Like a Pro is like a basics course, like a introductory course to looping. So if you've never looped before, then you can do How to Loop Like a Pro, and that will get you started. But also there's some really advanced setups further down the line inside that course. I'm currently looking at adding to that course. And as you can see here, I already announced this, that you can actually get all my courses now under a subscription, which is $15 a month. And that works out around about, is it 11 UK pounds, like British pounds? And there's a link again in the description for that. But the one I wanted to talk to you about is How to Loop Like a Pro. How to Loop Like a Pro was born out of 2 different courses. There was a course which I first did, which was a mini course called How to Loop Like a Pro. And then I did another course originally called Master the Basics. And I actually smashed those 2 together. And that is now in what's in How to Loop Like a Pro. The reason why I'm talking all about this, why is that doing? Why are you doing that? Whoa, there we go. The reason why I'm talking about this is because what I've decided to do is I've decided to make How to Loop Like a Pro massively accessible. So there's 2 options you've got. One is this one, where you can actually get all my courses for $15 a month. So you get How to Loop Like a Pro, RC500, RC600. However, if you unsubscribe from that subscription, you no longer have access to it. Okay. Now, How to Loop Like a Pro originally started at $199. Then we dropped it to $149. And today I'm here to basically tell you that we're now going to bring How to Loop Like a Pro in at $48. So I want to make sure this is accessible to everyone. It's the same course. It's the same stuff that's in there. In fact, it's going to get bigger. I've got big plans for How to Loop Like a Pro. And How to Loop Like a Pro is going to expand. And we are dropping the price down to under $50. And that is for you to keep. That is lifetime access. That's not a subscription. It is lifetime access of How to Loop Like a Pro. So if you are interested in this, then scan this QR code, because this is going to be a course where we're going to have loads more examples that's already in there. We're going to have breakdowns in there. And I'm also thinking about an idea to go into it, which I won't disclose yet, but I think will be highly valuable for anyone who is a gigging musician. So if you're interested in that, I won't be charging more And then obviously, if you want to grab How to Loop Like a Pro, it's yours. Go and grab it. And then should I add stuff into it, it'll just get added in. Okay. So that's the kind of big announcement. I didn't want to waste anyone's time. I know we're kind of 13 minutes in and been talking about one or two other things, but I wanted to make sure that you guys knew as quickly as possible, How to Loop Like a Pro is now just $48. Okay. There are hours of stuff in here and it's only going to get bigger. Okay. So the value inside this is huge. Let me put that into context for you. If you were to book me on my website for 90 minutes, it's $197 for a one-to-one course with me. So if you want to work with me, you can basically do that, no problem. But you can, if you just want to work with me on how to do looping, it's going to be actually more advantage to you to get this, because then that way you can actually learn from me, and we're going to actually go through a couple of extra things. As I said, I'm going to be uploading a lot more stuff to it. Okay, I've got a plan for it. It's going to get bigger. So How to Loop Like a Pro is now $48. And the reason for this is to make it as accessible as possible for as many people as possible. There is a cost of living crisis. You know, I appreciate that. That's why we set up the subscription model, which is obviously the subscription where you can get access to all my courses for $15 a month. But with How to Loop Like a Pro, people obviously want to keep hold of it as I add more content. So there's already a load of stuff in there, but there's going to be a load more. So I can't stress enough how much this is going to be added on. Okay, so go and grab it. It's $48, and there we go. That's what I wanted to tell you. Okay. Now, a couple of other things. Obviously, if you're watching on the replay, or if you're watching obviously on the live stream, then please give this a big old thumbs up. That really helps me. It helps the channel out, and it helps the live stream. It helps it grow. And that's really, really cool. If you've got questions about obviously anything, this is called Ask Me Anything. And the other thing that we did is I just dropped a video literally today about a different guitar. And it's an acoustic guitar. And it's this one. Now, it hasn't got the actual handles on at the moment. I think the handles are behind me. This is the Donna Hush I Pro. Which is a travel guitar technically, and it's very, very quiet. I know you've got music in the background, but what I'm going to be doing is, and I said it at the end of the video if you haven't already seen it, I'm committing to this guitar. I'm going to, Donna very kindly sent me this. It's a brand new guitar with different models inside it. It's got different modelings. I'm going to bring a video out of all the different models inside it. And I'm going to use this as my main guitar. The reason is it's highly portable. The bag is thin as this. And we're going to be using that. Now, it has like IRs inside it, so I can start playing around with the effects of it. And it's got the equivalent of like Koa, which is quite nice. There's the J2 in there. So I'm going to start messing around with that to be my main gigging guitar. And also, it means literally the bag is tiny. So I'm going to use that. Now, you normally use the guitar that's over there, which is the APX 500, and I've got the 600 as well. I'm going to use that as one of the two guitars. I normally take two guitars out with me when I'm gigging because they're in different tunings. That's in DADGAD at the moment. I might have that as the normal guitar, as in normal tuning guitar, and then keep a DADGAD guitar. Or I might just use that one and change it. We'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to change the strings on it though, because I know I'm going to absolutely break those strings. I'm pretty heavy user when it comes to things like that. So I'm going to use that, and it was a bit of a shock that I decided to do that myself. I started playing with it. I was like, sounds good. It's all right. Yeah. I took it on a gig in Manchester on Tuesday. Went to the Whiskey Jar, the open mic night in the Whiskey Jar. What I also like about it as well is it's USB-C charging. There's no battery pack. It's internal, and then it's got a headphone port. So if I want to just play and just listen to the actual sound, it's got effects, it's got delays and things like that, and all that jazz. Then it comes with everything, including headphones. It even comes with these sort of headphones that you just plug straight in. Hasn't got a looper built in, but I don't care about that. It's going to be plugged into a looper anyway. But It's very quiet though. And I don't mind about that because obviously I'm going to be plugging it into a looper anyway. And it looks weird without the shape thing on it, which is over there. It's just out of grasp. I'll go and get them in a second. I'll put them on just to show you. So we go. Now, that's a good question. Can you load different IRs into it? Yes, you can. Now, it has 8 on there, but it has enough room for 16. And that is something I'm going to be doing in the follow-up video. It's something I only found out the other day. So, that's the bag. Look at it. I mean, I literally grasp it with one hand. It's crazy. So there's the little metal pieces. Now, the only downside was, I say only, but there is 1 or 2 downsides. But there's a downside for every guitar, I suppose. One of the downsides is, of course, I need to put these on like every time I want to play it, like as a. It's just. Do you need these? No, you don't actually need them. So if I just do that right now, there you go. Don't need them, but it does make it feel like a normal guitar. So let's just put this the right way around, shall we? Hi, Ali. How we doing? All right. So I don't know if you've seen the video, as I say. This is the Donna Hush Eye Pro, which is shocked me. It shocked me for a very different reason, is in the fact that I'm now going to commit to using this as my main guitar for at least 1 or 2 months, just to actually have a play around with it. So you can load IRs into it. It's got software, and that's another video I'm going to do about it. And I'm going to go on a personal journey with this myself. And I'm always like, if I go, we have family that are down south. We have family like in the middle of the country. And then I'm like, I'm not taking a big acoustic with me. Like, I don't want to do that. This is technically a travel guitar, but I want to use it as my main guitar because it's highly portable. So I'm kind of using a travel guitar as my main guitar. I mean, if Ed Sheeran can use a GS Mini, then I can use that. Obviously he's using his own Sheeran guitars now, but you get the idea. The fact is that, like, find the right thing for you. I think that that's highly portable. I'll be going down to the middle of the country tomorrow after my day job, after work, and I'll be taking that with me. I will actually be taking that guitar with me. So because I can just plug in and have a play around with it, and it's just highly accessible. And then if I want to play and just pop it in my ears, I can do. If I want to plug it into an amp, I can do. So this thing really intrigued me when Donna said, "Look, we're bringing this out. Do you want to do a review on one?" I said, "Yeah, sure. Send it to me." Didn't really think much of it, if I'm completely honest. And it's kind of like gone, hang on a minute, I can mold this guitar to the sound I want it to be. So as opposed to, for people who haven't got like pedals that have got things like body res, which I do have, but this thing you can mold the sound, and it's 400 quid. Like it's 399 UK, and for what you're paying for 399 is the most amount of guitar that you're going to get, because it's got effects in there and you can tweak them. The way that the presets are really like overdriven, they're like overkill, because they're kind of trying to showcase, like, you know, the flanger, the chorus, things like that. But if you dial it in the way you want, you can get some really nice subtle tones out of it, and I'm really happy with it. So that's kind of the one thing. So there we go. Oh, what? Bronchial infection that's severely affected by asthma. Oh my goodness, that's not good. Haven't gigged. I've been able to breathe. But, cancel 7 gigs, but you're on the mend. Good. I'm very happy you're on the mend. That's good. That's awful. It's horrible as a musician, or certainly a singer, when you have like a throat infection, or people go, "Oh, I can't talk." It's like, I can't sing. That's like breathing for me. You know? It absolutely is a bummer when it infects your livelihood. I'm really sorry about that. That's really bad. When you have to cancel gigs because You can't breathe. Maybe you can take an AI machine out with you and just, clone your voice. I'm joking. Please don't do that. So yeah, that's awful, Ali. I'm glad you're on the mend. It's totally sucked. I'm sure it has. The nice thing is when you go and you do something that's just on the end of your range, and then you go, oh, I can sing it. So you're well when you can go, I can sing that song. So yeah. Oh, you never cancel gigs. It'll get better. It will get better. These things happen, and this is also one of the things about being a musician. Ooh, AI. There you go. Clone your voice. Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's an AI that's cloning voices for singing yet. But there is one for obviously speaking, but I haven't seen one. But imagine you just go like that. You hold up cards with the lyrics, and then an AI comes out the speaker. You just press a button and go, and just, I don't know. Silly brain, JP. So yeah, you could maybe think of that. It's a weird thing because I think a lot of musicians live by the seat of their pants, as it were, because we kind of, we're terrible at putting money aside to make sure for rainy days, for things like this. It's very difficult, certainly when it is your livelihood. So, Ali, I wish you all the best. I hope you're getting better. Take it day by day. Stay hydrated, obviously. It's all good. You got the Traveler Mark III. Oh, nice. That's cool. Let's have a look at this. I haven't seen the Mark III. Oh, is this the one where you tune it like in the middle? Yeah, the mahogany one. That's nice. Oh yeah. $499. Nice. Traveler guitar. It's cool. I don't like these traveling guitars where you have to take the neck off. What's with that? Like, what's with that? Like honestly, what is with that? Like, that's cool. So have you got an acoustic one? Did they do an electric one, I believe? Yeah, then there you go, yeah. Ultralight. Wow, they're doing ultralight. Oh, okay, so the Traveler Mark III. Right, okay, got it. Yeah, that's the one. That's cool. I like that. That's nice. Oh, there's a red. I like the red. Sorry, I'm completely digressing. You're now watching me browse the internet. Sorry. There we go. Bren, straight in. Good evening. Hope you're well. Straight in with a Ask Me Anything. Any thoughts on the best looper on the market? Ooh, nice. Love this. This is the big question, isn't it? This is the one. Forget everyone else. This is the big question. The Sheeran Looper X versus the RC600. Literally, I'm waiting for like the sort of Street Fighter fight noise to come in. This is the big one. Now, for me personally, at the moment, I'm just saying, no, it's fine. You took me off topic. It's fine. Don't worry. I'm completely like that anyway. I just go. Yeah, Sheeran Looper X versus RC600. This is one of these ones which is bizarre because it's, for me, at the moment, and I'm saying at the moment with a big at the moment, for me, the winner's the RC600. Now, before you go off your rocker and go, but I like the Sheeran Looper X, so do I. I like the Sheeran Looper X as well. However, I can buy 3 RC600s for the price. And the other thing as well is that they are apparently looking at, obviously, the updates. It's really positive. They've done the updates for the Looper Plus. They did a version 2 of the firmware, which means they're still working on it. That's great because they're taking some feedback. But there was words of firmware update for the X, and they're looking at different play styles. Now, what you got to remember, and me and Pierce actually had this conversation. Pierce came around to my house last week, and we had a little bit of a conversation about this. The Sheeran Looper X was designed with one person in mind, Ed Sheeran, okay? So the way, the flow of how you mute stuff as opposed to stop stuff, that's how Ed does it. And he's probably the biggest loop artist in the world, okay? So if you don't like the way that's done, and personally, I prefer doing it a different way as well, then you're going against what the Sheeran Looper X was built for. Does that make sense? So the reason why they're looking at different workflows is because people have different workflows where they go, right, I want to stop that, I want to start that, I want to stop that, I want to start that. Ed doesn't do that. He records and he just mutes the channels he doesn't want at that point, and that's it. And he can go select that channel, unmute them all with one button. So he can do that, and then all of a sudden, bang, his chorus is back in. So instead of doing a stop and then a start all, he unmutes and mutes stuff. So the flow is completely different. However, that big, awesome 7-inch touchscreen from the Headrush looper board, which I have, by the way, and I had that from day one, it's sitting over there, is phenomenal. And being able to edit stuff by just going, yeah, that there, done. The UI for the navigation is fabulous, as opposed to that tiny little RC600 screen. However, I think personally that the effects are better on the RC600 versus the Headrush. I haven't had a chance to go over the Sheeran Looper X yet because I haven't been sent one. We are in talks with, and I've said this before, we are in talks with Sheeran Loopers to get hold of one, but they are all sold out. So they're not going to spare one for me because just because I ask, they're going to sell it because they need to make money. They're a business, and I get that. But if they do this update, which has been rumored about, this one, when the firmware update is available for the X, will be better matched. I think so as well. I think it'll be a better match, and also I think if they piggyback or jump over the RC600 firmware and they end up putting all this kind of extra stuff in, that will be the clear winner because it has much better pedals, which has already been talked about. Yeah, Ali said that the pedals are awesome. There we go. And it does take a lot of brain work to actually understand the capability of both. That's why I have an RC600 course. Nice selfish plug there. But it's getting around that little screen and navigating around. But if you've got an RC600, you've just saved yourself £800 or 800 US. Then spend 50 quid on John Moose Taylor's RC600 editor, and then just use your computer to edit it how you want visually and do it that way. I think, obviously, when it comes to Boss are the king of loopers. They've been around the longest for it. And yeah, the best features, so are you asking that question? The best features on the RC600 that the X looper board is missing. Okay. If you want to use, there's no rhythm section on the looper board. There's no actual dedicated rhythm section at all. You have to import a WAV of drums. So there's no separate rhythm section as well as your 4 loops. You'd have to use one of the 4 loops as a rhythm section, unless you're doing beatboxing, and that's like me or Carl does or anything like that. So that's one thing. The other thing as well, missing is that the effects are wildly different. So you can't have what's known as an input effect. You can only have a track effect, but it only affects the track and the input at the same time. So with an RC600 or an RC505 Mark II, you have inputs where it affects your guitar, but it's not on the track. You can put that effect on any track. It's actually affecting the input and you're just recording that input. What you're doing is technically track effects, but that track effect also affects the input as well at the same time. That's really confusing for someone who's come from Boss and goes over to Sheeran Looper X, because it's like, why can't I do that thing? So from the effects side of things, some effects might sound a bit better, depends, but it depends on what you're using, whether you're using an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar. You've also got, on the Sheeran one, you've got Ed's setup or Ed's guitar setup. A friend of mine has said he can't quite find the right acoustic guitar sound for him on that setup if you're just using the Sheeran Looper X. So therefore, he then has to bring in like a different pedal beforehand, which is even more stuff. The other thing as well, that board, that looper board, or the Sheeran Looper X, size-wise, it's massive. And I do mean massive. It's literally 2 RC600s top and bottom. But those pedals, oh, best in the business. Best in the business, bar none. Okay. Now, if you want to go halfway on that, go and grab. I'm pointing over there because my RC600 and Headrush are both over there. Probably having a conversation. Go and get Graham from Stadium Music. Go and get his pedals. At least you're getting like the RC300 equivalent pedals, and they're kind of cantilevered, and that's what I've got on mine, and they are brilliant. He is trying to create Sheeran pedals for the RC600 at the moment, which is quite interesting. And he has sent me a little box of something which we're going to show you hopefully next week. So he's done incredible work with the what he's brought out, and it's quite cool. And so yeah, let's have a look. So you're saying you can't miss with the pedals, but I love both the R600 and the X and use both. There you go. Ask Ali. Ali's got both. So there we go. That's what I'm missing is the input effects. Yeah, you go. So I have to make sure I'm playing the guitar track whilst performing after I've recorded each loop to perform it, in order for my guitar effects to be applied to my live performance. So imagine you can't just apply a load of effects onto your guitar or your vocals and then go, I'll record it on track 4. You've got to put those effects on track 4 and then make sure it's selected. That's really odd to me. I get why they've done it, because there's actually a cool way of doing it. Is you go, cool, I want a bass sound and I'm going to record it on track 2 anyway. Just select track 2 and put the bass sound on there. As soon as you select track 2, you've kind of changed the effect automatically. This is also why people use splitters, so therefore the guitar sound is split and going somewhere else. And then also, if you notice, Ed actually uses a microphone only for recording loops and then uses the second microphone to sing through. I use one microphone that has harmonies going through, and I want to record those harmonies and sing through as well. So that adds another element to it. I think either way, if Boss brought out an RC600 version 2 with those pedals and a touchscreen display, done. If Sheeran Loopers brought out an update to their Sheeran Looper, which would solve a lot of the play and the effect problems, done. So it's one of those things where there's both for all. And it's interesting. Oh, really? That's interesting. I didn't know that, Brand. So for you use Looper board for all gigs, but after 2 years, when you say it's starting to crap out, I'm just curious, is it the switches? Are the switches starting to go? Because my switches went on a Looper board, and Headrush at the time very kindly said, ship it back to us and we'll change the switches for you. And then there is a group on Facebook who do the lathe switches, where they've literally done them themselves. But you're voiding your warranty when you do that, of course. But of course, that's it. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. Okay, cool. There's no perfect option. No, there isn't. For me and my workflow, I prefer the workflow of the RC600. Okay. Also, I absolutely love the customization. So on one of my patches for the RC600, on pedal 8, just press that, that's my bass. On the next patch, it's something different. So for me, being able to control what the pedals do, that is very important to me. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so pedals are switches are starting to go. Reach out to Headrush because they may very well help you with that. It's also started to slow down and shut down every now and again. Okay, with the shutdown stuff, remember it's basically a computer and with firmware and software on board. Back everything up to a hard drive, and that's one thing I do like about the Headrush is basically you've got those multiple USB ports. Plug a hard drive in, back everything up onto the hard drive, wipe it. Just go and get a new version of the same software and put it on. So that will just get rid of the old software and firmware and put the new same but new version of the software on it, and then put your stuff back on top. So you're literally clearing it out, put a new version on, and then put your backup stuff back on top of the stuff. That might help. But yeah, there we go. Now, sound quality of the Looper X puts out has been noticeable with my regular audience, which is interesting. The other thing as well is 32-bit. There shouldn't be now a flagship looper that isn't 32-bit float. It's got to be 32-bit float minimum for me now. Having used the 600 on local pub gigs right through to, like, I was on a big stage, which is like the Camp and Furnace in Liverpool a little while back. You can really tell the quality when it's on a big PA. So for me, it's got to be 32-bit, no matter what it is. Anything that's kind of 16-bit now, that's MP3 CD quality. That's just crap. And that is the RC300. I had someone going, but I like my 300. I'm like, really? Do you? Do you really still like the 300 now in 2024? I don't. The effects were crap. You can't customize it, really. Not anywhere near what you can do for the 600. And the actual sound quality is just something we just had. We didn't get used to it. So the sound quality has got to be up there now. When you add, it's fine if you're recording 1 or 2 little bits. That's fine. When you're adding 7 layers on one loop, which I do, by the way, I'm adding big ensembles for some of my songs. The 300, the 50, and all the older loopers, you start getting degradation. You can hear it like really clearly that the first loop you did is now down here in terms of sound quality, and then the loops on top are just taking over. You're getting this multiplying volume situation. With 32-bit flow, sky's the limit. It doesn't matter. You can go real hard. You pretty much can't blow it out when it comes to sound quality with a 32-bit float, no matter what it is, because of the calculation that it does, which is really clever. So for those who invented 32-bit floats, I salute you. Thank you very much. And then you're now getting that in like these little microphones that you put on here. That's like 32-bit float, and camera microphones and all kinds, and individual recorders like Zoom recorders and things like that. The 32-bit float is an absolute godsend for a lot of reasons, because what you used to get like, say if you got like a recorder for recording your gig, you plug it into a Zoom. If you fluff that up or it's too hot, that's it. And then what they used to do is you used to have one, or they still do on some recorders, where it has 2 records. So one is like the recording at the level you brought it in at, and then the other recording is lower to save you. Now the 32-bit float one doesn't do that. You can just go record 32-bit float, and if it's really loud, you've got the headroom. I'll stop talking about 32-bit float. I will. But that's the answer right now. It really is. So in regards to what I do at my gigs right now, I'm gonna slightly argue with what Bren's talking about, saying there is no perfect option. He's right. There is no perfect option, but for what I'm doing, I don't need any more. Because I'm using John Moose Taylor's RC600 editor on my Mac, and then I can get and I know so much about the RC600 that I know how to edit it how I like it. I'm fine. That's it. I'd want better control over the effects, but then that means me adding on like a MIDI pedal, basically. That's what I want. To really want is the Zig Zig R. But sorry, couldn't help myself. The control over the effects is for me the biggest thing. And then sound quality and routing. There we go. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer, wasn't it? But hey, man, you said you started it with the fight question, which is this. I'm really hoping to get hold of Looper X and just do a load of stuff on it. Ali, I think once you voice is better, I think you should just start pumping out instructional Sheeran Looper X, here's how you do this videos. I think that would be amazing, because you've had it way longer. I think that would be really good. I did something different today as well with my video, which was the video about the guitar. I normally have like, oh, you're welcome, mate. No problem at all. I did something different where, other than obviously the very beginning where we had our sponsored link from DistroKid, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I didn't really have any music in the background. And I'd love your feedback to go, did it feel weird? Or was it better? Or was it worse? For me, it was a bit odd not to have a little bit of music chugging around while I'm chatting away, because it eases it off. But some people have said, oh, you know, it'd be great if you didn't have a lot of background music. I've got background music going on now, but I'm just curious if you watched my stuff. And of course, people like Tainted and Ali and Bran, you all watch my stuff. And thank you very much, by the way. Very, very grateful. Just wondering if obviously, you know, if you see that where I'm explaining stuff and there's no background music, if that makes it more attentive or if it's like, oh, it's a bit boring. I'd love to know. So let me know in the comment section below if you're watching on the replay or if you're on the live chat. Tell me right there. Couple of things. Let's go over them basically, which is this live stream is sponsored and it's sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution company. The QR code has been there the entire time, but now it is front and center just here. And basically, if you want to release music, you need a music distributor. You can't just rock up to Apple Music or Spotify or Pandora and go, oi, here's my CD, right? Here's my MP3, play it. You need a music distributor. Now, there's lots out there, and a lot of them, when you release music, they charge you. And then some of them will charge you sort of like even every month, or they'll charge you every time you release music. DistroKid has always had... Okay, cool. Thank you for that, for the background music information. DistroKid has always had a subscription model. So it's basically one price per year, which is $22.99. With the link, which is that QR code and that QR code, you can get 7% off. So they have sponsored the channel for a good couple of years, and the reason I use them, I have them sponsored, is because I use them. So thank you very much to DistroKid for sponsoring the live stream, and obviously check out DistroKid. The QR code is going to remain there throughout the remainder, and obviously go and check them out. And if you're releasing music, if you think about releasing music, I brought a little short video out going, oh, it's the end of August. Well, you need to start thinking about Christmas now, because you don't want your stuff playing on Christmas Day. You want it playing on pretty much the 1st of December. So you need to upload it at least a month before, which is the 1st of November. So you need to start thinking about your music basically for September, October. Your music needs to be uploaded and ready to go mid-October. Okay, so you need to start thinking about this now, if you're making a Christmas tune, or if you're doing a Christmas version. And the great thing with DistroKid is you can even do covers. I did one. I did Carol of the Bells with a vocal loop with the 505 Mark II, and I released it in January. But it's there. If you want to go and look at John Paul, Carol of the Bells, you can go and listen to it on all the major streaming sites, because I use DistroKid. And Christmas tunes is a great thing to do, even if you're doing your own versions of covers, or which DistroKid can do for you, or you're doing your own song, Christmas song, because it gets played every year. Okay, so it's all good. So a couple of things. Let's have a look at what's going on with the chat, because a couple of people have come in. I just want to say and acknowledge them. Hi, Yago. Let's have a look. Oh, all my pedals are in single mode. When I press stop, it waits till the end of the measure to stop. That's fine. The problem is when I press the play on the stop track, it immediately starts playing. Well, yeah, it will. If you want it to immediately stop, and it's at the end of the measure, if you're on, let's just say you're on an RC600, you can actually double tap. So if you press stop and it goes to the end, if you want it to stop before that, you can tap it a second time and it'll immediately stop. What do you want it to do? You said it immediately starts playing as... Whoa. Sorry, I just dropped something. You said it immediately starts playing as if that's a problem. Oh, sorry, you've said it underneath. Apologies, don't type. I want to press play and the loop waits till the beginning of the measure. So either you're pressing play too early, is that what you're saying? And then you want it to be the measure. Okay, that's fine. So on the RC600. So basically, yeah, so we need to look at, like, obviously you got loop end as Ed. Oh, Ed's in the house. Yo, how are you doing? So we're looking at measure, and then also when you press play, you want and the loop waits until the beginning of the measure. So what you want to do is you want to press play before that measure, and then it kicks in. So you want it to wait for you. You may have to do that via MIDI if that's what you want to do, or obviously you need to press it on bar one, beat one. By default, the start is exactly what it says on the tin. It will start that loop process, but it will start it on bar one, beat one, as it were, like literally 12 o'clock on the clock, as it were, like going round. So there isn't any other way to do that. The other way to get round it is what I do, which is a little bit cheeky one, where you don't actually control it through the looper at all. You use a volume pedal. And what I do is you use the volume pedal to go whoomph, pull it down. You don't stop it, and then you can bring it back in. Sound one measure too early. Yeah, so what you could do is if you've got something going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that just carries on going round. And then with the volume pedal, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So you can literally go whoomph, 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 whoomph. So you can actually pull it down and then bring it back up again. So there's a couple of different creative ways you could do that. So you're not stopping anything, but you're still in time. But you've got to either have a really good timing to keep in time with it if it's pulled down, and then you could do it that way. So I think that way, basically, you're pulling it back up. There's one where I actually play and you go there and then bring it back in. So actually, it's kind of like the loop doesn't kick in on bar one, beat one. It kicks in a little bit afterwards. So that's the only way I kind of do it, where I've got my foot on the pedal and I'm just like pulling it forwards and backwards in time while I'm playing. So I hope that makes sense, that you could do it that way, and do it that way. That would be really, really cool. Is that in response to Shirin X versus RC600? That'd be quite funny. They both work. Switch them on. They work. It's fine. It's all good. So yeah. So Yago, let me think about that. I hope that makes sense. I've done a video on that about like the pedal, and I use a Vetspress pedal, which is about 40 quid. You can use any pedal, any volume pedal. You can get volume pedals really cheaply. Just make sure it's got the TRS connection, so you can plug it in. You can control the up and the down. But yeah, I hope that helps. Question. So many great loop artists. Who is your favorite right now? Well, that's very interesting. My two favorites are Matt Bolton and Carl Wachner. Nice choices. I like that. My favorite right now, if I'm going to pick two, like you've picked, I would turn around and absolutely say Carl. Carl is a top favorite for me personally, mainly because of the way he creates loops. I've always been in admiration of the way he loops. He's incredibly quick. He's in the groove. If you want to see the interview that we did for the podcast, How to Loop Like a Pro, or sorry, Loop Like a Pro. No, How Do You Loop? Loop Like a Pro is my course. Sorry, I'm a bit tired. If you look at the podcast, How Do You Loop? Carl was my guinea pig, actually, and he'll quite happily tell you that he was the first one I interviewed. And we did some great conversation about how he does it with his tech. And that's what the podcast's about. Now, I haven't done an episode on that for a while. And I need to get back into doing that because I've been bogged down with other things. But really enjoyed doing those interviews. But there's an entire series on the channel, which is a podcast, which is called How Do You Loop? Hence the t-shirts that we produce as well, and you can get them. And that entire podcast series is about loop artists, why they do it, and more importantly for you guys, the tech they use and how they use it. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go and check out the podcast, go and check out the interview with Carl. I think I did an okay job editing it. I think it was all right. So I'm quite proud of that. There we go. So I'd say Carl. Yeah, absolutely. The other person for me actually isn't a guitarist. So the other person for me is Saro. Saro. Now, when you go and check out Saro, you'd be like, who? And I follow very closely the Loop Station Beatboxing Championships. I know I don't do any of that stuff, and I use the 505 very differently, but I love it. I think they're fantastic, and I think the creativity on a lot of different people who do that. So if you want a bit of a crash course in like sort of going into like those kind of championships, then go and have a look at Swizz Beats. It's SWIZZ. So if you have a look at Swizz Beats, and then basically, or if you just have a look at the champion, I'm trying to Google it right now. There we go. No, not Swizz Beats, the artist. Hang on a minute, I've done that wrong. Have a look at Looper Beatbox Championships, and then I've got it saved on my YouTube channel, so I don't have to save it. Anyway, there we go. You've got beatbox battles. You've got where are you? Yeah, UK beatbox champions, things like that. Now, it's not the beatboxing per se. It's there's two. There's beatboxing, but then there's also the Loop Station Championships. If you want a masterclass in getting a crowd, there's a really, really amazing one back from 2017, which was MB14 versus Saro. Watch Saro on that one. Just look at MB14 versus Saro. It was a grand beatbox battle back in 2017. The tune he makes, they're only using voice, okay? And then the RC505 Mark 1 at that time, the tune he makes on that is like incredible. Like, you'd think it was like produced, and that won him the beatbox championships. It was just brilliant. So I absolutely love those. I think they're pretty really cool. Ali says Carl Wachner as well. Oh, Bren, you did see the interview. You the interview with Carl. Lots of great info. Going to check out the rest of the episodes of How to Loop. They are on my watch later. Oh, brilliant. If you don't want to watch them, by the way, they are available as an actual podcast on your favorite podcast places. So you can go and find How Do You Loop on things like Spotify podcasts, Apple podcasts, Google podcasts. They're there as well. He's such a nice guy, JP, but you're right. The way he loops is insane, inspiring. The funny thing is, oh, you didn't just say that. JP is pretty amazing as well. Oh, thanks. Very nice. The funny thing is, the one that blows my mind, I've tried it. I've actually gone away, closed the door, gone back to the lab, as it were, and I've tried Carl's way, where what he does, of course, he has the head rush, and he's got 4 loops, and he bangs beats across the 3. So it's very clever, because he actually will, you know, he go, he does that kind of like that breathe in, breathe out beat kind of stuff, which is cool. But what he also does as well, you'll see him like hit the guitar, he'll put that on a different loop, and then he'll put another one on a different loop as well. Like he'll use the first 3, and he's always said like loop 4 is his like bonus loop and extra loop. And then what he does is, as he takes stuff out, it sounds like the drums have kicked back a little bit, but when the chorus is going, it all comes back in, and that's because those extra little bits are on that. So the spread that he's done across that is really clever. It's a nightmare for routing, because if you go, that's the drums, and that's the bass, and that's the harmonies, you can't do it like that. But dude's like signed, right? So, you know, kudos. Like I'm not complaining. So the way he actually does his loops is really, really clever, and of course he's got a ton of stuff over the top with his pedals that he's kind of really cleverly put on top of the head rush. I really like that, by the way. And I did see him have a MIDI pedal at one point, and then also have a VE500. So he is playing around with the vocal side a little bit more now. His wireless rig is crazy. Like, it's bigger than my entire looping rig. So yeah, it's obviously much more gigging there. But thank you, Ali. That was very nice of you, going back to what you just said there. I'm going to bring it up again because it's right, lovely. Ed laughs. Using my cajon for drums. Nice. See, I've always wanted to, you know, have a cajon. That's quite cool. I also like the pan things, you know, ping, 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 like the what they call hand pans. Really like the idea of them as well, but just couldn't. I just couldn't. I like the idea though. Having fun with them with moment effects, i.e. delay for a quick fill. Ah, okay. Any other tips to add flair with beats and fills? Absolutely. I mean, just as I say, the one that Carl did there. The one I always do as well, I do more on, you can see it there, just in the corner, the 505 Mark II. I use the LFO, the very first effect. So if I'm doing sort of, I'm going to stop the music because this is going to sound weird with it in the background. So if I'm kind of just going, now most people will probably leave it at that. I'll then add a on top. Okay, so that's your second layer. And then I add this really weird thing, which is basically saying the equivalent word of digger. Okay, so digger, 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 digger. Think of the word digger, right? Like digging. And when you have it on an LFO, and I'm moving it round, I can do that on the 600 or the 505, and it just adds a little bit of a different element. And you can put that on again on a separate loop, or I actually have it all on one. It's easier to split up on the 505 because it's right there, so I can put it like two. I'll use the first two for doing it, and then if you want to take something out, take the digger out, and then you're left with a more basic beat. So I hope that makes sense. So use the LPF. Is it the LPF? Hang on. Hold the line, caller. No, that's my set list. Go away. I don't want the set list. I want that. Setup. No. There we go. LPF. The LPF. There we go. Just need to make sure it was the right one. So if you have a look at the LPF, the other thing you can do with the LPF as well is you can actually, the effect can be basically sequenced. So technically you can use a sequence on it and you can step sequence it if you want to. If you know it's going to be a certain, whatever, you can do it that way. So that's pretty cool. So if you're using for fills and stuff, it's a bit more difficult because if I'm playing guitar or something like that. The other thing as well is you can technically loop the effects of the rhythm section of the R600. So you can actually say to the rhythm section, become a loop, or be loopable, be recordable. The downside of that is you get phasing, but you could technically do that. Or if you're using the rhythm section, of course, you've got an A, B, C, and D as different modes. And as you switch between them, if you've got fill switched on, it will do a fill for you. You can even have it do a start and an ending if you really want to as well. So that's obviously utilizing the rhythm section a bit more. If you're doing it all yourself, you're making your own rhythm section, then like the cajon and everything else, then you could actually just, bring something in where you do like maybe a 4-chord sequence. You're playing the guitar or the bass, whatever, and then at the end you go dun, 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 and just add that in. There's that little thing just to break it up a little bit. I'll always add something on the hi-hatty side towards the end of the loop, basically to indicate to me that's the end of the loop. So if I've got a boom, boom, that is like a little thing to me just to say like that's the end of the loop. We're going back to the beginning again. So it's just an indicator to me. If I hear 4 of them, I've just done 8 of them. 8 bars. Does that make sense? You get the idea. So there we go. And not use digidrums. Okay, cool, fine. Momentary switch. Okay, cool, fine. So momentary with a momentary switch as opposed to momentary FX, i.e. delay. And then Bren, completely the other end of the spectrum, use a full E kit for drums. Used to loop full acoustic kit, but too many feedback issues on a loud stage environment. Bloody hell, yeah, I bet. I can imagine that would be quite difficult with an acoustic kit. The one that obviously blows you away is oh my god, I can't remember her name. It's escaped me. She uses Ableton, and she did she did the Foo Fighters cover. She did Everlong, didn't she? Elise True. Elise True. when she did that performance is very clever because it's triggered Ableton loops. So at the same time, she's just playing, and then she just goes to the next thing and plays. It looks like she's not triggering anything because she's not. It's all pre-triggered, or it's being, or there's someone off stage going, "Boom, you trigger it now, trigger it now." So someone else is triggering it while she plays, and it's like when she goes, and it just carries on, and you're like, "How did she loop that?" So it's a very clever Ableton performance, which is really, really cool. So things like that are really cool. And then obviously being able to use Ableton to trigger loops automatically in a sequence. The other one that is really clever to do it as a sequence is Loopy Pro. Now, Loopy Pro has a sequencer, and I know Michael is on the verge of releasing Loopy Pro with MIDI loops. Now that is going to change the game again, because ignore the IC600, ignore the headrest looper board, ignore the Sheeran Looper X for a moment. An iPad that can basically loop MIDI, and you can adjust the MIDI with a sound, with any sound. That would be really, really cool. So things like that, where do I use the real thing? If you're doing like finger drumming, I really like, what are those the finger drummers? Is it the Yamaha ones? Looks like a little white box or black box, and it looks like a big space bar, and you go, always wanted to have a go with them, just to see if I could do it more than anything else. And then I like Matt's got a is it a hand sonic he's got with his wobbly stand? Has he fixed his wobbly stand? I haven't seen any of his performances in a while. He had a really wobbly stand. He's good with the hand sonics. But yeah, there's absolutely loads of people out there who are looping it now, and I'm really happy about that. If you're not one of those people who are looping, but you'd like to loop, there are two things I can help you with. One, I have courses. There's been a ticker going across this entire time where I've got 3 courses. One's on the RC600, one's on the RC500, and then the other one is how to loop, and it's called How to Loop Like a Pro. Now, you can get this for $15 a month. However, if you cancel that subscription, you don't get it anymore. I have another How to Loop Like a Pro is a course. Now, it started at $199. It then went to $149, and then I was giving off discounts. And I was like, I just want to, people have actually emailed me saying, listen, I can't afford this. And I get it. So what I've done is something a little bit radical, and How to Loop Like a Pro is now under $50. I want more people to have it. So I'd rather more people have it at $48 than actually, less people have it at $199. So for $48, I can get 4 people looping as opposed to 1 person looping. And that is something that's brand new that I announced earlier on. And I'm going to be adding to the How to Loop Like a Pro course. I know it's got a picture of me holding the RC500. It's not just pedals. It's actually tabletop loopers, using Loopy Pro as an app, or different apps as well. I'm going to be bringing something else in. I think there's extra elements I know I'm going to be bringing in, but there's something else entirely that I'm going to be bringing in How to Loop Like a Pro that I think if you're a gigging musician is going to be very valuable to you. So this is not a subscription. This is $48. You own it. It's done. That's it. Okay. So I just wanted to let you be aware of that. How to Loop Like a Pro is available now for less than the price of a pedal. Okay. Less than the price of a looper. Well, good, a half decent looper anyway. So that way you can get going right from the very beginning. You can learn all my mistakes. You can learn all my tips and tricks, because I've put things about mistakes in there as well and how to overcome them. And it is, I don't want to call it a beginner's course, but you can go from the very beginning. It will take you from absolute, I've never looped before, but there's also stuff in there for even seasoned loop artists. So have a look at that. That is How to Loop Like a Pro. It's now out for $48. Now, oh really? The wobble stand is still a thing. I think, you reckon that's a thing, to make people go, oh my god, look at that, it's really wobbly. That's one person who I've messaged once or twice, and then we've kind of dropped out of contact for no particular reason. And that's one person I want to add into the How Do You Loop interviews. I think Matt would have an incredible insight. So Matt, if you're watching the replay, if you're watching now, get in contact. I'd love to have you on board for the How Do You Loop podcast. Also, Katie Tunstall, Ed Sheeran, if you want to do the same. So if you've got any questions, obviously, about looping, that's fine. This is Ask Me Anything. So, of course, you can ask me anything you like. It would help if I spelled that correctly. I'm just doing something. Bear with me. There we go. Cool. Brilliant. Now, I have been sent this shirt. I sent this shirt and a couple of others that I'll be wearing on the channel. I actually really like this shirt. So this is a Hawaiian shirt in the style of Star Wars. So it's basically got the TIE fighters on there. And it's been sent to me by these guys. This is geekoutfit.com. So geekoutfit.com can actually, there you go, you can get money off. It's actually got these really cool t-shirts, really cool shirts, t-shirts. That's the other one, the Wookiee one, which is really cool. But there's loads of others out there. So if you have a look through, now they do this in US and also in the UK as well. You can get things like Matrix socks. It's really funny. David Bowie t-shirt. I've got this one, which is it says board game map green button up pocket shirt. It's for a certain board game, Magic Ring Sword. You can tell what they're from. Really cool. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. So they do loads of really cool stuff. So this is geeksoutfit.com. If you want to check them out. And they have some really cool stuff starting at literally like a $5, like really cool. Would love to see, obviously, if anyone obviously gets anything, you can do this promotion they've got at the moment. You get basically buy 3 get 10% off, buy 5 get 15, buy 7 buy 20. They're not sponsoring the channel. I just wanted to obviously showcase this for you because they're cool t-shirts and shirts. I just asked for Hawaiian shirts and then I got to pick, so I picked this one. And I picked a sort of, I said the game one, and then they're over there, so I'm looking, and one that looks like Code, which is quite cool. So you might see me wearing them over the next couple of weeks. That'd be quite cool. Love to see Matt on How to Loop that. Please make that happen. I will hunt him down. What is your go-to workflow for most songs? Are we talking about? I've heard of a Nookie shirt, but never worn a Wookiee shirt. Said JP once. Yeah, so like that, by the way. What is your go-to workflow for most? Do you mean for looping? Do you mean for breaking a song down into loops? I'm currently doing that at the moment. I've got a couple of covers gigs, and there's 1 or 2 songs I'm adding to the arsenal. The first thing I'll do is go, is that something I can loop? And then I'll go straight to the #1 app, which is Ultimate Tabs, the Tabs app, and then just go, right, look at the chord sequence and try and figure it out, as someone's already may have done it for you, saves you half the time, and then go, right, okay, can I loop this? Is this loopable? I'll try and find this basically and go, is it a loopable song? Is the chorus the same as the verse? If it's not, that's fine, it's okay. Because we can still play it, no problem at all. It doesn't have to just be 4 chords all the way through. So it's like, right, okay, this is one I really want to do, and it's like different chords for different things. So maybe I'm going to be doing a verse, a bridge, chorus, and I'll break it down into its parts. The lyrics are the last part. The lyrics are just like whatever. It's fine. So, and this is all for covers, by the way. So for covers, it's kind of like, right, what is the fundamental bit of the song that people would recognize? So I play, for example, Stevie Wonder Superstition, and you've got that, and he plays that, and that basically is actually the first part of the song, and then you've got the brass section going dun dun diddle dun 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 dun. Now, I don't actually use that brass section in my part of my version of the song at all. I do the I sing the bass line because I sing my bass lines. I make a little bit of a beat, put the chord in, and I do it in dadgad because I quite like it in that it sounds a little bit more dramatic. And then I start singing the song pretty quickly, and that's key. And then I'll bring in the I'll bring in the other bit, the first bit, and then that's it. I'll bring that in, and then I'll break all that down. So we're just playing the drums, and then the "If You Believe in Things" bit, where it's just right at the end, it's a different chord structure. I'll play that, and then I'll bring in the bit where people can dance to again. That's one. For another one, let's think. Englishman in New York. Okay, 3 chords all the way through, apart from the bridge. So therefore, I'm gonna build up that chord sequence, and then I'll just take that out and play the bridge because it's only just the bridge. I don't need to do anything else with that. But then I stop the loops all the way through when it gets to just the that little drum bit just beforehand, and I'll just beatbox for 2 bars. So I'll literally just be like boom, 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 boom. Another makeup man, as someone said, and we go straight back in. So I'll do it like that. And there's stuff we can just break stuff down, and it makes it more interesting. The key thing for looping is I don't want it to sound like track, the MP3, the CD, the track that you listen to on streaming. I want it to be unique, but also I want it to be recognizable. If I sat there for 3 or 4 minutes with my head down, looking at the looper, putting in all the separate parts, by the time I looked up, everyone's like, I'm bored, I'm going, I'm done. They want to either get dancing, sing along, or I've had it many times before, I'm putting like a complicated beat down, they'll start singing a different song to the same style beat, and I'm like, oh yeah, that does work with that. But then I've been put off. So so they'll be like, oh, that sounds like whatever, and they'll start singing it because they're drunk. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is obviously my own songs. So my own songs, it depends on 2 things. So there's 2 elements to me. There's the acoustic guitar playing element where I, play the songs, and they're singer-songwriter songs. And then the other element, which has kind of released me a little bit, is the 505 Mark II when I do the looping my brain stuff. That stuff is a lot of fun, and that stuff is literally what I call raw, unrehearsed, unscheduled improvisation. And improvisation is probably the best thing you can do, and just improvise with your looper for hours on end. And it helps you unlock a couple of things. One, it gets you comfortable with making mistakes and going, no, that doesn't work, delete that last one. And then the other thing as well is being able to be brave enough to experiment. Now, I do it live, and someone who is a massive loop artist in that era is Mark Rebillier, and he's amazing at it. And the pandemic just made him, because everyone just watched him, and he just got to get out of bed, and it's just like really, really cool. I love that element of it, and I love that sort of beatboxy element to it. I add a little synthesizer keyboard, with the apps on the iPad and stuff, and I really enjoy doing that. And I've created 2 live albums out of that, because I've just taken the songs that were made in that moment. So for me, that's a great scratchboard for making music and for creating music. For the covers, it's more about get to the lyrics as quickly as you can without sacrificing the sound of the song. And I hope that makes sense. There's songs where I've not brought in what the song actually sounds like until verse 2. And I've just put a basic beat down and just started playing and singing it. And then I'll start looping the bass line and the guitar and everything else, because the song's chugging along now. Because it's about making sure that you're entertaining the audience. If I'm doing my own stuff, do it how the hell you want, because they don't know what it sounds like unless they're an absolute fan. And if they are an absolute fan, they'll be like, I love it. So don't worry. You know, I've come off stage before. I've said to my wife, "Oh, I messed this bit up and I messed that bit up." She's like, "It sounded great." I'm like, "Thank you," because if you don't say thank you, and I go, "Oh no, 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 you don't understand. I did mess that thing up," then you've just kind of ruined their enjoyment of it. They enjoyed it. Don't worry about it. Okay. With the spontaneous, I keep pointing at the 505. It's over here, just behind the microphone. Look, there it is. There. With the 505 stuff, I love messing around with it. I think it's the best thing to mess around with. The tabletop loopers, Loopy Pro, they're cool for just going blah, 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 and just messing around with stuff. I think you become a bit more braver with something like that because you've got your hands free, as opposed to, oh, I've got to press this with my foot and I'm panicking if I get it wrong. So yeah, so I know that's been really long-winded, Bren, but I hope that kind of makes sense to you about workflow. For most covers, I will try and find the element of that, you know, like if you've got, as I say, like, you know, Englishman in New York, you know, you've got that kind of sort of beat, you know, burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it, burn it, you know, manners make of manners, someone said. And then I'll loop things like the bit you hear on the record. So you'd hear what's the lyric? I've just drawn a blank. Be yourself, no matter what they say, and then loop that. Be yourself, no matter what you say, and then leave that looping for the very last end bit, and then whoa, and sing the chorus again. So things like that, things like there's songs that I've absolutely loved how I do the loop of it. So Elbow, One Day Like This, which you know is a massive song for me. I'll put the what is this big orchestral piece in just by going la, 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 la. And it takes a long time to set up. La, 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 la. La, na, 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 na. And then it's basically like 8 bars, but people go, "Oh, that's the Elbow song," and then they're singing along, and then I'll get into verse 1, drinking in the morning sun. So it depends on what you're doing. It depends on the sound of the song. It depends on if there's specific sounds for that song. Like if you're going to do like Shivers by Ed Sheeran, you know, there's a specific bam, 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 bam. You know, there's different noises and stuff. Did the wrong song there, sorry. That still makes me laugh. Just looped comfortably numb helped me learn how to formulate a song build. Yeah, so obviously with Floyd's Pink Floyd stuff, you know, the progressive stuff, you can take your time with it. I think it's quite nice. B-Wise, how we doing? Hi, I love your content. Thank you very much. That's very nice. Is there a way to arm the rhythm track without actually starting it right away? Basically do what pushing the rhythm button does for a foot switch. Yes, there is. You can arm it where you can basically arm the recording. So this is what we call before loop. So you set it on before loop, and then it will start the rhythm though. I've just realized actually when you're asking that question, when you arm the rhythm track without starting right away. So do you want the rhythm to come in after you've recorded a loop? Is that what you're saying? Check it back on me with that one. Want it to start once I start recording, but not before. So you want it to start, do you want it to have like a 1, 2, 3, 4 and then kick in? Or do you want it to just go poof and then it does it? Because you can do before loop where the drums start and they just keep going until you hit it a second time and then it records. That's quite useful on the RC600. Okay, cool. So that's quite useful because then obviously it gets you into the groove before playing. The problem you have sometimes, I'll rephrase that. The problem I have sometimes, you may be perfect at this, but the problem I have is I can record a loop and then I'll turn the drums on and then it'd be like, I'm just like out from the snare drum slightly. So then it sounds a bit funny and off. You can, to answer your question, yes, you can. You can do it where basically you turn the rhythm section controls instead of immediate or before loop, you just turn it off. Turn it off completely, okay? And then you can either use an FS5, FS6, or FS7 pedal, or one of the other buttons on the RC600 and re-customize it so it is rhythm start stop. Okay, so you can record, it'll pick up the BPM from that, and then it will not play until you hit that button, and then the rhythm kicks in. You just have to be aware that if you were a little bit out, the rhythm is bang on, and it is tighter than a duck's bum in water. So you have to be aware of that and just make sure you can do it. So to answer your question, yes, you can do that, but just be aware you'd have to do a lot of practice on that. The great thing is it'll follow the BPM. So obviously, whatever you've recorded, it should go right. Well, that was 115 beats a minute. Let's go, and you've got the right rhythm section in for yourself. Great, no problem at all. That'll work. Hope that helps. Ed, what song do you remember as being one that you made you want to be a musician? Well, it's interesting. This is Ask Me Anything. You can ask me anything you like. Keep it clean. Ed says, what song do you remember as being the one that made you want to be a musician? There's two songs specifically that stick out to me. One was there was always music in our house. Always music in our house. My dad was a sound engineer, and my mum loved Cliff Richard. Go figure. So she still does. But say loved. I don't know if she still loves him. So my dad always had that music on all the time, and that was normal to me, which was great. The song that made me want to like properly go into like being a musician, about the age of 9, I wanted to play the piano, and then I learned how to play the piano like plinky plinky. That's fine. The song that made me go, oh my god, pianos are cool, it was more that keyboards are cool, is there's a song by Boston which was always playing, like Yes, Boston, Genesis, Phil Collins, Floyd, Styx. They were all playing in the house, which I'm really happy that I had that education. There's a song by Boston which is called Smokin', and Smokin' is a really cool rock track, and it is an amazing organ solo. And I was like, I want to be a keyboard player. That's cool. And I was just like, if you go and listen to Boston Smokin', go and listen to that entire album, in fact, because it's incredible. But going to listen to Boston Smokin', and then the other one was a friend of mine was basically just about 2 years older than me, like friends of family, and just went, listen to these, and handed me a tape. It was tape. Handed me a tape. It was all black. And you guess what the tape was? It was all black, and you could just see in the corner, just this weird snake in the corner. If you know what that album is, that was like, holy crap, that's cool. That is a cool album. I'll tell you what the album was, if you don't know. It was all black, the cover, with a very, very dark snake in the corner. It was Metallica. It was Metallica's Black Album. It was just so cool. Enter Sandman just blew me away. Yeah. It was Metallica. So I was handed Metallica. Then within the same year, because I was late to the game on this with Metallica, because I quite like sort of like heavy stuff. And the same year I went, what's this? This is amazing. And it was Prodigy. So the same year I kind of fell in love with Metallica and Prodigy at the same time, which is really weird. Guns N' Roses has always been in my heart. When the first Guns N' Roses track that made me want to go, I want to play an acoustic guitar, was Patience. Patience, I just wanted to learn that one song and play it all over again and again and again. And then the person who got me into looping, it's all her fault. Me and my dad came back from a gig, and we watched Later with Jules Holland, and this Scottish lady was first time on UK television, first TV performance, and she dropped Black Horse and the Cherry Tree, and that was it. I just dropped my jaw and went, oh my god. So Really, really bizarre. So I just went, that was it. Katie Tunstall. I was obsessed over looping overnight. I so much so that in that time and era, if anyone remembers the internet of that time and era, it was crap. And I was basically on forums trying to find out what the pedal was, which I found out was the Akai Headrush E2, which is a nightmare. So yeah, absolutely crazy. And then that was it. Then I found, you know, everything from every kind of loop artist going at that time, and I just got heavily into looping. I just absolutely loved it. Go back to my YouTube channel, go to the very, very, very beginning, and there's a JP with hair about here, and a bit longer as well. Still looping at that point, and the Headrush E2 only had one input, no mic input, was just a jack input TS. So then, if you wanted more than one input into it, which I did, I then wanted, you had to get a mini mixer. So then I had a little mini mixer with my microphone and my guitar plugged in, mono output that into the Headrush, that out to the PA, and then it was like, cool, there's no undo, there's no redo. It can only loop for 70 seconds. You can't save stuff. It hasn't got any patches. It was technically a delay pedal. It was like a tape delay pedal, but then it also had a looper on board. So yeah, crazy stuff there going on. What's my other watch doing? Oh, calendar, okay. So yeah, so I've had a bit of a weird music education, because like Queen was massive for me. Michael Jackson was a huge thing when I was growing up. And then, and like, you know, in my, so like before I was like 10, like just like amazing beats, amazing like production through MTV. Then it was like onto, like, I'm listening to like Nirvana, Metallica. I was mortified, obviously, of the death of Kurt Cobain. And then, you know, whilst most of the school are going into what is all over the internet right now, which is Oasis, and I was like, not that frustrating. I liked Blur, and I liked Pulp, whilst everyone was like drooling over whether you should be in Camp Oasis or Camp Blur. I was like, Pulp's quite good. I was the odd kid. I really was. And then I was like, yeah, but I also like Metallica and Jimi Hendrix and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a bit weird. I'm glad Ed's same generation, different country, same music. That just shows what went round on the TVs and the radios of that time. It's really cool. Danielle, hi, how are we doing? You okay? Any thoughts on brands from a maintenance point of view? Switches where an issue, easy to service. Are we talking about switches that are going, aka, are we talking about Headrush? Or are we talking about switches in general? There's no one brand-wise that I can think of in the terms of companies who will do it for you. I'm trying to find the name of that. Where are you? No, I don't want him. There's, you're gonna have to help me out here. I can't remember what it's called, but Lathe switches. I can't remember how to spell it. It's a European company, isn't it? Who make who are Lathe? Lathe switches. I can't remember what the name is. But if you go through some forums, they are some of the best switches that you can get because they're a little bit more silent than the clicky. But they are also very hard wearing as well. So I hope that helps. Service-wise, they are, once you know what you're doing, and I've never done it because I am far too scared of that. I'm far too scared to, like, I'm no solderer or anything like that. I'm a musician, an end user. I'd like to say I'm an end user, with a little bit of an educator built into me, but I'm no engineer. So I wouldn't like to solder stuff. I don't even solder like guitar cables. So I hope that helps you. Oh, I didn't see your other thing before. Sorry, apologies. Although I often use Band in a Box for practice backing tracks, I've been considering a looper just so I can use my feet and free up my hands. Nice. There's a video I did about the RC5, which about using the RC5 as a backing track machine. So if you just want to do backing tracks and put it into what we call one-shot mode, and you need to save that. However, there is another company now who are making a pedal. It looks like a pedal, and it's a backing track machine, but you can split your tracks up in the sense of you've got your drums, your bass, your guitar, and everything else. And they are called Idoro. They are brilliant, and I'm just going to bring it up for you. Idoro P1, it's called, I think it is. Yeah, there we go. Now, I'm just going to share my screen. How many times you've heard that? There we go. Right, so these guys, let me do that. There we go. Now have what's called the P1. It is a simple, compact, and multi-channel MIDI and audio backing track player. So it looks like very similar to. It looks like a TC Helicon Voice Live Play. It looks like it, but it's not. It absolutely isn't. There's your MIDI on the side there, and then you can basically go in and change the volumes of each different one. So if you've got stems, this thing is built really, really well, and really, really cool. They were out of stock last time I saw it. Oh, no, they're not out of stock. They've got them in. Oh, low stock. Every time they do a batch of them, they just run out, which really speaks volumes, which is cool. 469 Great British pounds. There we go. So it says, obviously, a bit of delay on the order there, but there we go. So have a look at Idoro, the P1. They've got the features and software. They've got videos about it, the guys who made it, and they're really friendly. I've spoken to them on email because we're trying to get hold of one to do a video about it, but they just didn't have them because they every time they build them, they just get sold. So really, really clever. I hope that helps you. But yeah, have a look at the Idoro P1. Now, if you're watching on the replay, give us a thumbs up, and obviously that helps out the channel. And then, of course, if you're watching right now, give us a thumbs up. We are going to wrap this up, though, in a minute. But a couple of things. First of all, this live stream, the QR code's been there the entire time, is sponsored by our friends over at DistroKid. DistroKid is a music distribution company, so if you want to make songs, you are making songs, and like if you're making stuff in any DAW, and then you're ready to actually release it, and you need a music distributor to send it out to all these streaming places. So DistroKid can help you with that. They charge you $22.99 a year, and that's for the Musicians one. They also have another one called Musicians Plus, which is the one I'm on, which is $39.99 a year. And then with the link that is in the description box, it's these two QR codes. You can basically save yourself 7%. So thank you very much to DistroKid for sponsoring this live stream. Danielle, you're more than welcome. Have a look at that. Obviously, that thing is over 400 quid. The alternative for backing tracks would be to go and grab yourself something like a RC5 or even an RC1, something that's got multiple slots for loops, as it were, and go and have a look at that video. Go and have a look at the video where I take an RC5 and turn it into a backing track machine, because that is actually cheaper. But no disrespect to the Idoro, because the Idoro is a multi-stem backing track machine. You got a lot more control. We just did a video where we're just looking at taking a stereo backing track and throwing it through a looper, okay, and then how we can do it and make it into a backing track. Now, if you are interested in looping, then of course you've seen the ticker at the bottom here, and then it says basically that you can get all my courses for $15 a month. I do 3 courses, but if you're interested in looping, what I also now do is my How to Loop Like a Pro course. It was normally $199, and because obviously a lot of people have contacted me about, cost of living crisis, and I totally get that. And musicians, obviously, we want to make it as accessible as possible. So as you can see there, we have now dropped this to under $50, and there's still the same content that's in there. In fact, I have a plan for How to Loop Like a Pro. So we take you from the very, very beginning, right from rhythm and beats, that actually get you looping really fast. And then also, I know it shows a picture of me holding a pedal there. But we do it on the pedal, we do it on the tabletop, we do it on Loopy Pro, we do it on apps, and then I've got a plan as well to add more content into this, and then add something else. So if you're a working musician, you're gonna really, really, really want to have a look at how to loop like a pro. Go and scan the QR code. It'll take you to the website. And it'll give you a little bit more information about the actual course and what's inside the course. And then that way you can start looping really quickly. Thank you very much, obviously, for that. Where are we? Oh, you're welcome. Are you saying that the Idoro? Are you talking about the Idoro ad? Have you got one? That's interesting if you have. I'd love to know your thoughts on that. That'd be interesting. That's really cool. Right. So with that in mind, I am going to wrap this up today. Thank you very much for listening to me and obviously me drivel on. And thank you very much, obviously, if you're coming in. If you're on the replay and you've got a question, you're like, I missed him, put it in the comment section underneath this live stream. And then what we'll do is the guys who are here, if they're reading it, they can answer it. And so can I. I love a looping community. It's as simple as that. We're all in it together. So thank you very much for listening, and obviously have a great weekend. I always say rest of your week, but we're on Friday today, so have a great weekend. We will see you next week, where we'll do a little bit more of live streaming, and let's see how far I can get with this new guitar. I've got a couple of extra things to show you as well, of course, so keep an eye out. And if you're watching me for the first time, and then maybe consider liking and subscribing to the channel. If you really want to support the channel, come and get one of the courses. That helps me directly. And of course, you can always leave me a super chat as well. Right then. Oh, and super thanks as well. You can do super chat and super thanks. Yeah. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks very much, guys. Have a great weekend. I will speak to you soon. Bye.